Welcome to today's Explainer. Look, as leaders navigating some seriously intense market volatility right now, we need more than just strategy, right? We need a rock-solid blueprint for character and innovation. Today, we're unpacking a profound historical text, beautifully detailed with pictures by ABD ELBAKY Eldeep, that literally maps out the architecture of true greatness. We're talking about legacy case studies from brilliant minds that apply directly to how we run our organizations today. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's a quick roadmap for our briefing. We're hitting 1. Facing times of challenge. 2. The traits of true greatness. 3. Innovation versus blind imitation. 4. Mutual respect among giants. 5. Recognizing moral character. And finally, 6. The legacy of leadership.
Moving right into Section 1, Facing Times of Challenge, Finding Direction in a Turbulent World. So when our organizations, or even whole societies, hit heavy turbulence, this text basically gives us two main paths to find stability. The first is a spiritual approach, seeking God's mercy. But the second path, and the one we're really zooming in on for this explainer, is historical. Think of this as pulling up the ultimate legacy case studies. We aren't just looking back to, blindly copy outdated operating systems. Far from it. We're decoding the core principles of how past titans manage their own massive crises, so we can leverage those frameworks for our modern market challenges. All right, Section 2, the traits of true greatness. What actually makes a mind truly exceptional? Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the Arabic source text completely deconstructs the great mind into 3 highly actionable leadership traits. First up, we have hyper-relevance. Great minds engage deeply with current reality. They're out there solving today's problems, not obsessing over yesterday's. Second, they are literal incubators for innovation. They cultivate independent thinkers. They absolutely do not want yes-men on their board. And third, they have this profound respect for intellectual diversity. They actually get that friction and different viewpoints are exactly what drive innovation and growth.
Section 3, Innovation versus Blind Imitation. The danger of intellectual stagnation.
And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast between the two. The great mind operates with agility. It's always looking ahead. But the text gives a massive warning about the small mind, which is basically the equivalent of a failing, stagnant corporate culture. The small mind relies on a copy-paste mentality. It's just blindly running legacy procedures without ever adapting to current markets. And honestly, worse than that, it demands rigid conformity, which creates a highly toxic environment full of hostile clones. Here's the bottom line. True leaders use the embers of history to ignite new initiatives, whereas small minds, well, they just worship the ashes.
Moving to Section 4, Mutual Respect Among Giants, How Historical Icons Modeled Greatness.
Just take a look at this incredible statement. This is Ahmad bin Hanbal speaking to his son about another absolute legend, Al-Shafi. He says, and I quote, "Al-Shafi was like the sun for the world and like health for the body." Now keep in mind, these were men who founded completely different schools of thought. Think of them as competing industry titans. They had major theological and methodological differences. But despite all that, the professional courtesy and the sheer reverence they held for one another was just immense. The original text actually details several amazing interactions between these historical heavyweights. For example, Al-Shafi actively deferred to Ibn Hanbal's expertise when it came to hadith authenticity. He recognized specialized knowledge and put his ego aside. Similarly, titans like Malik and Abu Hanifa would fiercely debate each other, yet publicly praise each other's impeccable logic. So what's the big takeaway for any executive today? You absolutely do not need consensus to show respect. True greatness recognizes and elevates genius, even when it's sitting right across the aisle in a competitor. Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 5, Recognizing Moral Character, Beyond Intellectual Brilliance. The source details a fascinating historical moment when Abu Bakr faced severe persecution and actually had to leave Mecca to find safety. On his way, he was intercepted by Ibn al-Dughna, who was a local chief and, notably, a non-believer who did not share Abu Bakr's faith. But here's the kicker. Ibn al-Dughna immediately offered his personal protection. He straight up stated that a man of Abu Bakr's undeniable character should never be driven out of his own city. As leaders, think of this as the ultimate testament to your personal brand and reputation in the marketplace. When your character is that profound, it literally transcends opposition. So why exactly did Ibn al-Dughna protect him? The text lists specific virtues that frankly serve as 3 incredibly clear action items for leadership right now. Action item 1, resource your people.
Abu Bakr earned for the destitute and was always the first to help those in rightful hardship. Action item 2. Foster deep connections. He maintained incredibly strong communal ties and showed immense hospitality to guests. And action item 3. Shoulder the load. He willingly carried the heavy burdens of others. It's universal truth. Society and markets inherently protect and value leaders who actually dedicate themselves to serving the vulnerable.
And that brings us to Section 6, the legacy of leadership, synthesizing the architecture of greatness. All of this really begs the ultimate question for us today. When you look at your own leadership style, your team, your daily operations, honestly, are you operating as a small imitator? Are you just recycling legacy ideas and demanding a room full of yes men? Or are you actively striving to be a great innovator, someone who solves today's actual problems while deeply respecting the people who challenge your thinking?
Because at the end of the day, true greatness is a potent trifecta. You need a deep respect for historical precedent, the agile innovation to solve present-day realities, and an unwavering moral character that even your harshest critics are forced to respect. That, right there, is the complete architecture of greatness. So I'll leave you with this final challenge. If history were auditing your leadership portfolio tomorrow morning, how exactly would you be classified? An imitator or an innovator? Thank you so much for joining this explainer. Keep leading, keep innovating, and I'll catch you next time.